Welcome to Local Matters, the official La Vergne podcast. I'm Ann Smith, Public Information Officer for the City of La Vergne. Today I have with me Public Works Director Michael Dietz and Street Supervisor Doug Oakley. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
So today we're going to talk about cold weather, and because that's coming up, and obviously we have snow and ice and all that kind of stuff coming up. So how does the Public Works Department, especially our Streets Department, prepare for winter weather?
Basically, what we do during that, we know that there's something in the forecast coming this way, we more or less prep our trucks, get them ready, put the plows or salt in it, or get the salt ready and get everything ready to set up. And basically just get ready like it and sort of listen to the forecast, see what the forecast is bringing. Do you have special vehicles or equipment that you use? Yes, ma'am. We got 3 dump trucks that we use. It's got a plow and spreaders on the back. We got a brand new truck this year that's one of the bigger dump trucks. It's got a hopper in the back of it that it's a newer style that the state has that we're going to go into concept with. And they usually do all of our main roads and stuff like that. We got one smaller truck that will try to do mostly the parking lots, as far as the city lot, parking lots and so forth, or where the bigger trucks cannot get into. But basically we use the 3 bigger trucks.
So when you know a storm is coming, what do you do? What's the process look like?
Well, in the past, we usually wait till PD calls us and tells us when the roads are starting to get bad. We prefer to look at it and sort of keep an eye on it ourselves. And if there's any way we can put a little bit of salt out on the hills, like near Shreven and stuff like that, we try to put a little salt on that before it gets too bad, because when it gets too bad, we're fighting against it because it's too late then. You're just trying to get back to where it was. But pretty much, basically, we just salt stuff like that, get ready for everything.
Do we do brine?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay. So for salt, what's the decision-making process that goes into whether or not you apply salt to the roads?
If we see it starting to accumulate on the road itself, all right, we don't watch the ground as far as the grassy areas or anything like that. If we see that it's starting to accumulate on the road itself, that's when we try to put salt on the roads. What
main priority roads do you apply salt to?
Pretty much like Marshboro Road, you got Walden Road, all of our roads coming in and out of the city. That is our main concept, is getting those cleared and ready for the people to get through the city. We do have secondary roads, but we try to get them on us, need to go as we go. But if we don't get the main roads clear, none of the roads are going to do any good anyway. So why I was going to say, why don't you hit those smaller residential roads? But that's probably more because you're trying to make sure that your main roads are... Right. Well, first of all, if you live on a secondary road or in a residential road, if you want out of your neighborhood, the main roads are not good, it ain't going to help you none anyway. So we have to concentrate on the main roads. If we don't do that, the people in the secondary, the residentials, if they come out to the main roads, they ain't going to go nowhere anyway.
And I'll add to that too, if I may. So secondary roads is a challenge because if we start hitting every or specific subdivision areas, then it's kind of those things, if we do for one, we need to do for all. And we are a short-staffed department. We currently have a total of 5 employees in the street department. So it is very difficult it would be very difficult for us to manage the main roads, secondary roads, and residential roads as well. So that's why our main focus point is always main roads first, secondary roads second, and as needed for emergency services personnel, we try to hit some of the hillier areas in subdivisions, such as Ben Hill Boulevard, East Near Streaming would be another. Yes. Woodland Hills, main drive there. So, do you ever have the emergency services, fire, police? Do they ever call you and say this road in particular really needs some attention?
Yes, ma'am. I understand that. Take for example, Fergus Road, going up near the dollar store. that is a little hilly street, and we can salt that and plow it, and it depends on how much snow you're getting. If they pack it down to where it's just solid ice, we can't do much with it. We can't. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if the PD calls or the fire department calls, if they're in need of something to get to somewhere, yes, we're definitely going to go, no matter what. We'll send somebody there to salt those roads. But if it's something that we can wait till a little later to salt, we will.
Mm-hmm. And it pulls you off of your route. So we have routes that we ask the crews to stay on. If we continue to pull off of those routes to go answer every call that we get, hey, this area needs some salt, this area needs some salt, then it's hard to stay on course and stay with the plan when you're getting pulled off. So.
And I would imagine that makes it difficult to ensure coverage. Like, you don't have to keep trying to find that same spot where you left off.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
But we try to get all roads as best we can when we can.
When a storm is coming, is there a difference in what you do depending on what's expected? So, like, if it's going to ice or rain, sleet, snow?
Rain, you can't do nothing with it. It don't matter if you put brine down or whatever. If it rains going to wash the brine off. When it starts to snow, yes, the only thing you can do is plow it, put the salt down. Ice, if it gets below a certain temperature, and I cannot right off hand tell you exactly what that is because it might vary, but I would say it's down in the teens. When it gets down to a certain point, the salt ain't going to work. It don't matter what you do. And if you try to plow it, all you're going to do is tear your vehicles up trying to plow it because it's solid.
So it sounds like it really doesn't have too much of an effect on what you do depending on what the forecast says.
I think if we know if the forecast is predicting a very high chance of ice, then we're going to go out and pre-salt a little bit more aggressively than we normally would if they're just calling for snow. But that would be the only thing I think that we would be able to do different in preparation.
But then, the bad thing about that is if it's raining before it starts turning to ice, it's going to wash the salt off anyway.
Yeah, can't do that.
So basically, if it starts sleeting or anything, that's when we'll basically put the salt down.
Okay. So speaking of salt, how much do you have on hand? Do you know?
Currently, we have about 200 tons in stock in inventory. We have another 125 tons on order, and then we have 125 tons on reserve. So we're well plenished with salt.
Well equipped, yeah. And you already kind of touched on this, but salt does become ineffective at some point.
Yes.
Is that just based on the actual temperature, the air temperature, or the road temperature?
Both.
For people who may be out driving, trying to get to work, trying to get home from work during the winter weather, what can people do to help you guys stay off the roads? Obviously, is the biggest one, but
that would be the biggest thing is to try to stay off the roads as much as possible. Mm-hmm. I understand, you have to go somewhere, you got to go. But the biggest thing is don't get out there and act wild.
Mm-hmm. Don't get in a hurry.
Yeah, because if you go out there and you act crazy, you block a road, that means that salt truck can't get down through there to help other people. So your best bet is to stay off the road and stay home if you can.
So obviously we haven't had winter weather hit us yet, but we're ready, right? We're as ready as we can be.
Yes, ma'am. We're prepared.
Yes, we've had all of our trucks hooked up, tested, make sure everything's in working condition. We've got extra parts here in stock now in case something happens. We can, it depends on what it is. If it's something wrong with the truck itself, it might be another issue. But as far as the snow plows and stuff like that, we have the stuff here in stock that we can change it out and so forth to keep them going.
Is there anything else that the residents would need to know about?
Basically, just be careful if it does. I mean, just give us time to do our job. And there's times that it might be snowing so hard that we might have to stay on one road to keep it cleared off. Mm-hmm. Even if you salt it, it's still going to accumulate, and we still have to do our job of trying to keep it cleared off. But the biggest thing is, just because your road is icy, let us get our main roads and secondary roads cleared as much as possible, and then we try to help other people out on the other part of it. But just give us time to do our part.
Well, and Mike, you said you have a team of 5 on the streets department, right?
That's
so, I mean, and that's another question people may have is what kind of shifts do your guys run when it's cold out like that?
So typically we try to, obviously if it's snowing and it's icing, we have to be out there. We have to be, trying to clear the roadways for the citizens as well as emergency services. However, there has been times where we had to stop and take breaks for 4 to 6 hours to give the guys time to rest before they could go back out and start plowing again. Now we're fortunate; we do have personnel in other departments that can assist. So, we try to utilize those individuals as well. But again, if it gets to a point to where they're just getting wore down, we have to pull off and give them ample amount of rest time.
If the trucks aren't running, there's probably a reason for it.
That's right. So just please understand that. And we are hiring. So if anybody would like to apply for a job at Public Works, please go online and do so.
Well, great. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. We've been speaking with Public Works Director Michael Dietz and Street Supervisor Doug Oakley. For more information on the City of La Vergne or to apply for a job, please visit www.lavernetn.gov. Until next time, I'm Ann Smith. Thanks for joining us.